All right, Nikki Sixx here with my friend Slash. What's happening, buddy?
Hi.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Coming down to do my favorite riff. We're going to talk about amps and guitars and your favorite riffs and stuff.
Okay.
And this is the last my favorite riff that we're doing. So you're the big headliner dude. But I'm so happy because we've been friends for a long time, you know. And it's good to do. Kind of what we used to do when we used to hang out. You had a guitar and we would talk, and that's what we would do.
I know, it's sort of, and it's memorialized on.
Yeah. So I was thinking about all those songs when I was first learning that inspired me to keep learning. Mm-hmm. And some of those being some of my favorite riffs, and I just kind of wanted to pick your brain in that department.
Well, I mean, fuck. I think one of my first favorite riffs when I was a kid was had to have been Whole Lot of Love.
Yeah,
because that was just such a. To me, that was the soundtrack for what the '70s were going to be.
It really kicked it off.
And it was so driving, and it was so sexy, and it was so just I think that record is actually what initially turned me on to the Les Paul too, because the sound of that guitar.
Yeah.
So that was definitely one of them. I mean, I think a lot of Zeppelin stuff, like Whole Lot of Love, Black Dog was a good one.
What a great riff.
I could go on. The Ocean was a good one.
I've tried to rip that one off so many times.
The Ocean, that's
a great one.
But I think, if we just sat here and go through all the records that, You Really Got Me from the Kinks was great. I'm thinking of there was a lot of Who records, because when I was a little kid living in England, my dad was a huge rock and roll fan, but a huge Who fan. I think that was his favorite band at the time. So there was a ton of really cool Who riffs. Magic Bus was a great one. Anyway, so we could go on for days talking about great riffs.
I think that the riff is something that we all know. Like Welcome to the Jungle, you're like, oh, I love that song. But that riff is so definable. Or, many of the things that you've written, when I'm just playing and playing and playing, sometimes it'll be like, whoa, what's that? Do you have that like, is that where like some of those great riffs came from?
Yeah, you'll be messing around and a succession of notes will go by that maybe you heard in the course of anyway, and it'll catch your ear, and you'll go back and sort of suss out what it was.
Kind of define it.
Yeah. It does happen a lot. And they come from, just jamming with drums a lot of times, because, riffs are very much a rhythmic thing.
Yeah.
And just jamming with drums and things will pop out.
Yeah. Do you, when you're working by yourself, work with drum loop or any kind of a metronome?
I use the metronome on my phone sometimes.
Yeah, me too.
Because I have a tendency to write in weird key signatures, not intentionally.
Not in 4/4 necessarily. Yeah. Then you get it to the band, they're like, what time is this?
Yeah. So sometimes I'll use a metronome just to check out what it is that I'm doing, to see how that translates into.
That's interesting, because I many times would go to rehearsal with Motley and I would show them the riff. And then I'd hear Tommy and Mick going, is that even 4/4? And I was like, is it not?
I could be jamming something in my hotel room all night the night before sound check, then come into sound check and go, check this out, and realize that as soon as the drums start to come into it, it's completely different than what I was.
So the metronome will keep you honest. Sense. So
you were talking about John 5 earlier, and he plays with a metronome all the time.
He would come over to my house, and we would just be playing, and he would turn the metronome on, and he's so sweet, but he would push it like his phone at me, listen to the metronome, because when I grew up, I never played with the metronome.
Neither did I.
I had a drummer. I was finally had a drummer, but on my own when I practiced, I never had anything. So
it's a discipline, but it's a good thing, because it teaches you to play in time, obviously, but one of the great things is, as a soloist or somebody who just jams a lot, you can have a tendency to speed up and do all kinds of stuff that at your whim, right? Which isn't really conducive to playing in a band situation.
You just 10 BPM faster than everybody else. But that happens when that chorus kicks in too, and the audience starts going, and you're like, wow, we're hauling ass.
Everything speeds up. That's a little bit different.
That's a little different, Yeah. So, want to throw a couple of your favorite riffs at me?
Well, one of the ones that I was the one when I was like 14, roughly 14 years old, and I heard the Rocks record, and the first song on that record, that 1-2 punch of Back in the Saddle and Last Child, which is that record just made that record just
Last Child still to this day, right?
Yeah, so awesome.
Yeah, though that's City Boy Blues off of Theater of Pain.
Oh yeah,
like pretty much note for note.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Well, no one knows that now. Now everybody knows that.
Now everybody knows it. What was I gonna say? So yeah, Back in the Saddle, and it was that, the intro, which is fucking such a killer fucking intro anyway.
Yeah.
But then it kicked into that riff, and it was on the 6-string bass, and it was just like fuck,
heavy.
And then of course the vocal was insane. But see, I don't even know if I play it right, because he played it on a 6-string bass, so I'm not sure where he's playing it. But on the guitar. It's such a unique riff. It's really original. I can't.
Does it like go to a major in there? Is that why sometimes when a major's in a minor pentatonic, it pops out.
In that sense, it's very Stones-like, because the Stones always had this sort of major thing going on, and it was bluesy, but it still had this sort of major thing that just made it more sort of rock and roll than heavy metal. And so that it has that element to it, but it still has I guess we call it a minor third.
Yeah, that's that part.
It's just a really, really cool riff.
Yeah,
so
great riff.
There's that one. And we were talking about, remember, Black Dog. I mentioned Black Dog, right? And so everybody knows this part. And then it goes. That turnaround.
I get tangled in there.
I finally learned what it was. So it's this. There
it is.
Notes, but it
puts it back on the one.
Yeah.
I always get lost on that one.
Yeah, because I never could totally hear what it was. It was Jason Bonham who showed it to me. I was
really?
Like, no fucking way. Yeah, we played together some gig with Ozzy in Norway like a bunch of years ago, and chose to do that song, and he saw me sort of like improvising my way through
that little spot part.
And he goes, "No, it's just this." And I was, "Oh, so it's like the heavens opened up."
Yeah. What was the one we talked about? Was A Whole Lot of Love?
Yeah.
I think we both played it wrong for a long time. I know I did. Was it when the bend? Is it A Whole Lot of Love or a Communication Breakdown?
No, that's Whole Lot of Love. There's this part.
It's so simple that if you